Welcome to today's webinar. My name's Andrew Talbot and I'm going to take you through managing your dropship and direct suppliers with Gateway OMS. So I guess the most sensible place to start is what we're trying to achieve today. So really I want to try and explain to you how Gateway OMS can make dropship easier. We'll cover a few key topics, like what is dropship and what are the benefits, how Gateway OMS helps, what products we can do it with, key functionalities and automations, and how you could get started. It's designed really as a 15-minute quick dip into the subject and an explanation on why we think Gateway OMS might be a great solution for you if you want to do more dropship. So let's just start with the fact that obviously more and more business is being transacted on the web. E-commerce is getting a higher and higher share of your overall sales. But most e-commerce platforms were not designed to manage multiple suppliers automatically. So in essence, by plugging Gateway OMS in, it will enable you to sell any demand product. And hopefully by the end of the next 10 to 15 minutes, you'll understand why. So probably a good logical starting point is what is dropship? So I've used a good source of Wikipedia to get their definition of dropship, which I think is quite a good one in this instance. It's a supply chain management method in which the retailer does not keep the goods in stock, but instead transfers the customer's orders and shipping details to either another manufacturer or a manufacturer, another retailer or a wholesaler, who then ships the goods directly to the customer on their behalf. And dropship's a fairly modern term. In time gone by, people often used to use the term direct dispatch. So this sort of refers to anything that's dispatched direct from a supply chain partner rather than from your own warehouse. And I guess, the most common dropshipper in the world that most of us know of is Amazon. Amazon is a huge dropshipper. I think 60% of Amazon's turnover doesn't come from Amazon warehouse. It comes from dropship partners. So what are the key benefits? We were brainstorming this in the business the other day, actually, and came up with this rather snappy little phrase on the right-hand side: sell before you buy. And I guess, in a nutshell, that's the biggest benefit of dropship. You can sell before you have to buy the product. So consequently, that means if you're using the dropship model, you don't need to invest in extra stock. It's easy to expand your product range. I've had many a conversation with a retailer that said dropship's great for us because we could never afford to buy all the products we wanted to sell and had to gamble on certain products. But with dropship, that now isn't the issue. We can sell whatever we think. So it means it can also be used strategically. It's not just for dropship only. It can be used to backfill products where you've run out of stock. That's becoming a more and more common usage. It also enables you to pursue a lower risk strategy for range decisions. If you're not sure about a range but are having to commit to a volume, dropship's getting itself to a point now where the price works. So you can use dropship to bolster your range buying strategies. And if you've bought the wrong stock for the year, it doesn't mean your whole year needs to be a waste. And consequently, it's also very useful for trying out new products. And not mentioned here, but also for short-term things. If where are we at the moment? England in the Rugby World Cup final at the Rugby Cup semi-final at the weekend. If they got to the final and won it, there would be a demand for rugby products or an increased demand, and dropship would be ideal to do that kind of thing. So let's sort of move on. We've understood the benefits. How does Gateway OMS help? Well, in simple terms, if you embed Gateway OMS into your website, which we'll talk about how you do that later on, in essence, you can treat us or Gateway OMS as your dropship warehouse. So more and more companies obviously have got their own ERP or warehouse management system, WMS, and they can't really deal very effectively with products that aren't dispatched from their own warehouse. So in a simplistic way, if you treat Gateway OMS as your dropship warehouse and you drop anything into it that you want fulfilled that isn't in your own warehouse, then that's how Gateway OMS can help you. So if you like, we do everything else. So we can tell you the latest stock position, we can send the orders to the right supplier, we can create the right paperwork, we can enable the supplier to collect and dispatch using their own systems, we can integrate with the right carriers, we can update your own systems from our single system on the status of all orders, we can enable easier management and self-billing of the suppliers. And we've already got hundreds of integrations. So simple rule of thumb for Gateway OMS, treat us as your dropship warehouse. Anything that doesn't come out of your own warehouse, send to us and we'll deal with it for you. What kind of products does that cover? Well, we started life doing personalized products. So, products that needed print files that you print on demand. Then moved into print on demand, where people wanted stock. And then people said, well, actually, OMS is a really efficient system. Can we use it for stock? So then we started getting into stock products. We've expanded further into more complex products like made to order or made to measure products. But ultimately, any type of product you want to sell, we're fairly confident Gateway OMS can handle. I'm sure there's something out there that we can't, but one of the things we pride ourselves on is being able to handle anything that's awkward for your legacy or mainframe system. And our motto, why we exist, Gateway OMS is here to make things happen in minutes, not hours, days, weeks, or months. So this is hopefully the friend of your IT department, if you like, exciting for the buying department because they can sell more things. We're all about making it happen quickly. So how do we do it? So for a whistle-stop tour, this is an example of what I call the audit trail. So if we went and looked at a real-life audit trail, that's a list of orders that you've sent from your website or marketplace to Gateway OMS. In this particular case, they've all been archived. But if I click on the audit trail here, every time something happens in Gateway OMS, it writes an entry in the audit trail. And every time the status is changed, it triggers a notification. If you want it, you might only want the dispatch trigger back to your system. So in simple terms, if I go back here, you can see an example here that was received. This particular product was printed, went into stock, was dispatched on this date. It tells us who's dispatched it. It would tell us what the dispatch code is. So as it moves through the business, you get a clear audit trail, so you get full visibility. Now that gives us various advantages. We can also help you manage stock. So we know what stock all the dropship suppliers have got, so you can manage that on your website for turning on or off products, unless the stock is what we call perpetual stock. And we can also manage the onboarding of new products. So suppliers all put their products into Gateway OMS, and then consistently you've only got one way of getting product information into your warehouse or website system. The other thing we make it very easy for suppliers to collect. So you kind of went on here earlier, and if we click on there, it sort of gives us a dashboard here of all the latest orders in, how many are there, what statuses they're at, etc. And if we go back to here, that was us logging in through Gateway OMS. So you can easily give every supplier a login to Gateway OMS, and they can log in, process their orders using tools like barcode scanning or downloading. But most bigger suppliers have their own system. So we've got an API where they can extract the orders programmatically out of OMS. And we've also got ready-made integrations to warehouse management and ERP systems used by leading retailers, and a very quick way of onboarding new suppliers. So our simple boast is really, not only can you just throw the product at us, you can also say we want to connect to the following suppliers. So if they're not suppliers we've connected before, it's fairly easy to connect your new suppliers. Go back to our motto, if you like. We want to do things in minutes, not hours, days or weeks. So the next thing is, if someone's dispatching on your behalf, you want to give them branded paperwork. So we can create your branded paperwork in whatever format you want, with integrated labels, barcode scanning, EAN numbers, whatever you want on that paperwork, and obviously push that through to the individual suppliers to make sure they're using the same paperwork as you, so it feels like it's been dispatched from the same location. We've also got the ability to do things like consolidate orders. So we could only push them at a certain time of day and add them all up. This is particularly useful if you wanted the orders dispatched back to you and then you dispatch them from your warehouse. So you can actually, add orders for different things together. Clearly it adds an extra day to the process and a little bit of cost, but some people prefer that option. Some people also have the ability to collect orders because they've got nationwide infrastructures. So we can also, consolidate orders so they can be collected in a big box. So there's lots of different ways of doing the dropship model. It doesn't have to be sent individually back to the customer, although obviously that is the most common. And if you do that, we can make sure it's got the right paperwork with it. The other thing we've got is full barcode management. So here's an example. When you scan something, you get to see the product and it creates the dispatch label when you scan it. So if suppliers do want to use our system, there's a full barcode driven workflow which eliminates errors, so where they can be scanned through. If they don't want to use our system, as we said, the API allows other systems to update Gateway OMS. But the beauty of it is you can let us worry about that rather than have to worry about it yourself. The other thing that can be a real pain with the dropship business model is you're talking about thousands of individual orders. So reconciliation and managing in your accounts department can be a real pain too. So we have solutions for that. You saw the dashboard earlier, but we've got manual and automated reporting plus self-billing. So any supplier on OMS, whether they're logged into it or doing it by, we can generate the bills that they send you from the same database so that you know they're correct. So we can implement a self-billing strategy for your accounts department if needed, or provide a file that they can suck in, or they can use our API too to suck the billing information straight into your system. And we've got lots and lots of different reports to allow both you and your suppliers to understand what's going on in the business, particularly on an SLA level, because obviously the one thing you worry about if you've sent the goods outside your warehouse is, are they going to be dispatched on time and damage your reputation if they're not? So we've got all of that. And obviously that also means you can use Gateway OMS for a customer service system. If people ring up, you can see the status, you could give tracking numbers out, you can ask for reorders. So you've got a completely self-contained system for manage that dropship, which can be done either manually or via API. And apologies for the whistle-stop speed, but the idea was just to give you a flavour of what Gateway OMS can do in 15 minutes. So we're getting towards the end of the presentation now. A key part, we've integrated with hundreds of carriers globally. So these are just a few examples. ShipStation is what we call a shipping aggregator, which we particularly use in the US because there's lots of different carriers in the US that we use ShipStation for. But in principle, you can put your carrier details into Gateway OMS so that your supply partners use your carriers. So you control then the price of the postage, the service, etc. So that's quite a useful thing. Or you can get your supply partners to put their own carrier details in, but you can monitor the pricing through it. So it kind of gives you a little bit more control. It means we don't have to mess about saying to the carrier, oh, what postage system do you use? Because you can easily switch on the one in Gateway OMS. And we've even got an API that they don't even have to use Gateway OMS. They can just use the carrier side of it. So we think that's quite useful. we've also got the ability to provide products for you. So if you are interested in the dropship model and you don't have a supply chain, we've got something we call the virtual product warehouse, which has got hundreds of thousands of products in there that we know sell. So by all means, after this, if you just Google virtualproductwarehouse.com, you will find more details about the virtual product warehouse. And there's other information stroke presentations on our website, but I'm not going to cover all of that today. Or alternatively, we've got Supplier Gateway, which if you've got a Gateway OMS enterprise license, you can set up all your suppliers for free, unlike some of the competitive software packages, which I won't name. But it then means you can add as many new suppliers to the dropship platform that you want without increasing your costs. And finally, we've got what I call essential automations. So dropship, in my mind, doesn't work if you have to introduce too many manual processes. Because with an order of one, if you have to touch it too many times, it suddenly becomes unprofitable. So the things that you must automate, and Gateway OMS does, are the order routing and updating, the carrier and shipper management, product management, both ways, with and without your website, and reporting and invoicing. If you automate all of those, then you've got a profitable dropship business. So hopefully that was a good whistle-top introduction to the world of dropship and how Gateway OMS can take you. As always, please visit custom-gateway.com. Use the live chat or just browse the website, or we're always delighted to talk dropshipping. It's something that's become a bit of a passion of ours. Thank you for listening.